In a shocking and bold development that is being witnessed across Africa, Burkina Faso, Kenya and Tanzania have grabbed the power of the atom, spitting in the face of those who looted our gold, uranium and dignity for centuries. Nuclear energy, yes, nuclear is no longer their private toy, it's ours, and we're wielding it like a flaming torch to burn away the darkness of neo-colonialism. The West, those vultures who left millions of us in literal and figurative darkness, are trembling in their glass palaces. London, Paris, Washington, they're panicking, their diplomats scrambling, their media spinning lies, because Captain Ibrahim Traoré's Burkina Faso, Kenya's ambitious planners, and Samia Suluhu Hassan's Tanzania are tearing up the colonial playbook, shredding the Treaty of Pelindaba, and rewriting Africa's destiny. This isn't just news, it's a revolution, a Pan-African earthquake, and it's happening now, in our lifetime. The West thought we'd stay broken, begging for aid crumbs. They were wrong. Africa's awake, and their game of divide, loot and dominate is crumbling. Hit that like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already, and now let's dive into this historic uprising, family, because this is our story, and it's time to tell it loud. We start in Burkina Faso, the land of upright men, where the heart of this revolution beats like a war drum pounding through the Sahel. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, that 37-year-old lion who stormed to power in September 2022, isn't just preaching change. He's delivering it with the ferocity of 1,000 Sankaras, the courage of 1,000 Lumumbas, the vision of 1,000 Nkrumahs. In less than 2 years, he's turned a nation mocked as a coup-prone backwater into the vanguard of Africa's nuclear awakening. On June 19, 2025, at the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, Burkina's Energy Minister Yakuba Zabre Guba inked the final administrative document of a historic intergovernmental nuclear deal with Russia's state-owned Rosatom. This isn't a flimsy handshake for headlines or a photo op to appease the masses. It's a concrete, ironclad roadmap built on 4 memorandums of understanding sealed in Sochi in March 2024. Rosatom's bringing the full arsenal: nuclear power plants to generate electricity, research reactors to train scientists, fuel cycle management to ensure sustainability, waste disposal systems to protect the environment, and training programs for Burkinabe engineers to own the technology. Burkina Faso, where only 21% of people had electricity in 2022, one of the darkest corners of the planet, is about to flip the switch on a future where every mud brick hut, every rural school, every underfunded clinic hums with reliable, clean power. Traoré's vision is nothing short of earth-shattering. Energy security for the Sahel Alliance, Burkina, Mali, Niger, transforming these desert nations from power-starved outposts into exporters of electricity. Picture it, family. The Sahel, once a byword for jihadist chaos, French puppeteering, and crippling blackouts, selling surplus megawatts to Nigeria, that so-called giant of Africa, still shackled by neo-colonial chains. Nigeria, Ivory Coast, Ghana, you big boys with your oil billions, your Lagos skyscrapers, your Acrotech startups, where's your nuclear ambition? Buried under the rubble of Western-funded regional clubs like ECOWAS and the African Union, designed to keep Africa fractured, dependent and forever on its knees. Traoré saw through the scam, and that's why the Sahel Alliance broke free from ECOWAS in January 2024. Staying meant staying slaves, bound by the 1996 Treaty of Pelindaba, that colonial straitjacket forced on all 53 African nations under Western pressure. Pelindaba didn't just ban nuclear weapons, it choked off peaceful nuclear technology, outlawing acquisition, testing or stockpiling of anything that could give Africa a spine. South Africa, under duress, dismantled its nuclear arsenal, leaving only Kobuk's reactors as a faint flicker of nuclear hope in Black Africa. The rest of us, discouraged from even dreaming of reactors lest we destabilize their precious global order. Why the West's terror? Because nuclear power means power, period. It's why Pakistan gets a nod before NATO bombs its allies, why Iran laughs off sanctions, why North Korea's Kim sleeps soundly with missiles on standby. Nuclear capability, whether for bombs or peaceful energy, gives you a voice, a veto, a seat at the global table. Africa, we were coerced into signing away our sovereignty, left defenseless so the West could bomb our dissenters, dictate our policies at the UN, and loot our resources with impunity. They descended on Libya in 2011, crushed Gaddafi for daring to dream of a united Africa with a gold-backed dinar. They sanctioned Zimbabwe for reclaiming land from white farmers. They kept us weak, divided, and dark, ensuring our leaders remained happy slaves, clapping for aid while our people starved. Traoré's had enough, and he's not whispering, he's roaring. In July 2023 at the Russia-Africa Summit, and again in Moscow in May 2025, he exposed France's uranium heist in Niger. They take Niger's uranium, light up Paris, and leave Niamey in darkness. He thundered, laying bare how Orano, formerly Areva, extracted 300 tons of uranium yearly while Niger's GDP per capita languished at $500, with 80% of its people without electricity. Burkina's own gold, stolen for decades by French and Canadian firms until Traoré nationalised mines in 2023, opened a state-owned refinery and started processing bullion on home soil for the first time in 2024, and weapons. The West refused to sell, sneering, Burkina will kill each other with them. The arrogance. Imagine telling a sovereign nation they're too savage to arm themselves against jihadists tearing through their villages, killing thousands yearly. So Traoré turned to Russia, who didn't lecture, they delivered. AK-47s, drones, satellite intel, and now nuclear technology. Russia's not colonizing, they're partnering, building plants and training locals, unlike France, who built bases to spy, steal, and suppress. This nuclear plant, West Africa's first, will change everything. No more blackouts costing Burkina $1 billion annually in lost GDP. Kids in Bobo Dioulasso will study under bright bulbs, not kerosene lamps that choke their lungs and cost families $50 a month they don't have. Mothers will cook with electric stoves, not firewood that scars the land and kills 20,000 Burkinabe yearly from smoke-related illnesses. Factories will churn 24/7, creating 30,000 direct jobs and 100,000 indirect ones, boosting exports of shea butter, cotton, and gold. The Sahel Alliance will sell power to Ghana, Togo, even Nigeria, whose grid collapses monthly like a house of cards, costing its economy $29 billion a year. Traoré's done in 2 years what giants couldn't in decades, proving West Africa wrong, that it can be done. On X, the people are electrified. Traoré's nuclear deal with Russia, Africa's unstoppable. This is the Spark family, and it's setting the continent ablaze. But let's not stop there. Burkina's revolution is a blueprint, a call to arms. Traoré's not just building a plant, he's building a mindset. He's kicked out French troops, dismantled the Safe Francs stranglehold, and banned French media for brainwashing Africans. He's nationalized gold mines, ensuring profits stay home to fund schools, hospitals, roads. He's arming citizens to fight jihadists, cutting terrorist attacks by 40% in 2024. He's training youth in tech, agriculture, and now nuclear science, with 500 Burkina students already enrolled in Russian universities to master atomic tech. This isn't just about electricity, it's about dignity, sovereignty, and a future where Burkina doesn't beg. The Sahel Alliance is a model. Mali's expelling French NGOs, Niger's auditing uranium contracts, both following Traoré's lead. They're not just generating power, they're generating respect. Now swim east to Kenya, where the revolution's flames are leaping higher, threatening to engulf the old order in a blaze of ambition. On September 8, 2025, the Kenyan government dropped a bombshell that echoed from Nairobi to New York. Construction begins in 2027 for the nation's first nuclear power plant in Bondo, Siaya County, on the shimmering shores of Lake Victoria. Led by the Kenyan Nuclear Power and Energy Agency, NUPA, this beast will start at 1,000 megawatts, a jaw-dropping 26.2% boost to Kenya's current 3,812 megawatt grid, with ambitious plans to scale to 20,000 megawatts by 2040. The cost? Between $3.8 and $6 billion, a steal for a 100-year energy lifeline that will power Kenya's dreams of middle-income status by 2030. Why now? Kenya's economy is exploding. Factories in Athi River, electric vehicles in Nairobi, data centers in Naivasha, and tech hubs like Konza City are sucking power faster than hydro or geothermal can deliver. Hydropower is unreliable, with droughts slashing output by 30% in dry years, costing $1.5 billion in losses. Geothermal solid, contributing 45% of the grid, but capped at 1,200 megawatts. Nuclear's the answer. Clean, zero carbon, aligning with Kenya's green pledges under the Paris Agreement and Vision 2030 to become East Africa's economic powerhouse. Siaya was chosen after Kilifi locals pushed back hard, and Nupe didn't steamroll. They listened, engaging Luo communities through town halls, ensuring the plant's theirs, not some foreign imposition. Raila Odinga, the elder statesman, spoke at Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University in Bondo, demanding world-class safety standards modelled on Japan's and skills transfer to Kenyan youth. Picture it, 10,000 construction jobs flooding Siaya, new roads snaking through Nyanza, schools and hospitals blooming, a tech revolution training 5,000 engineers to rival India's nuclear institutes. This plant could power Nairobi's skyline, Kisumu's agro-industries, Mombasa's ports. It could export to Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, even fuel the African Continental Free Trade Area's engine, cutting $2 billion yearly losses to blackouts. Clinics will run 24/7, saving 10,000 lives yearly from powerless medical emergencies. Farmers will irrigate without $500 monthly fuel costs, boosting maize and tea yields by 20%. Tech startups will thrive without generators burning $10,000 holes in their budgets. But here's the shadow hanging over this bright dawn. President William Ruto's playing a dangerous game, and Kenyans are watching with bated breath. In June 2024, Biden named Kenya a major non-NATO ally, the first sub-Saharan nation to get the nod, unlocking arms deals, intel sharing, and Pentagon perks worth $1.2 billion annually. Then, in April 2025, Ruto jetted to Beijing, cozying up to Xi Jinping, declaring Kenya and China co-architects of a new, fair, inclusive world order. The US Senate lost its mind. Senator Jim Risch demanded a 180-day review of Kenya's NATO status, sniffing ties to China, Russia, even Iran. Allegations of abductions using US intel, links to Sudan's rapid support forces, Washington sweating bullets. The question burns like a Nairobi sun. Will this nuclear plant be Kenyan-owned, powering millions out of poverty, or another debt trap like the $3.2 billion standard gauge railway, where China holds the leash and Kenya pays $500 million yearly in interest? If it's ours, it's a game changer. Slashing energy costs by 40%, creating 50,000 long-term jobs, lighting schools, fueling tech hubs that rival Shenzhen, saving $3 billion yearly in fuel imports. If it falls into foreign hands, it's another colonial shackle, with Kenyans paying $100 monthly bills to power their own land. Ruto, the people are watching, and we're not blind. Choose Kenya, not the West's crumbs or China's loans. Kenya's nuclear push isn't just about power, it's about pride. The plant will train 2,000 youth yearly in nuclear engineering, create 15,000 indirect jobs in logistics and services, and boost Siaya's GDP by 10%. It'll power irrigation for 100,000 farmers, cutting food import bills by $1 billion. It'll light up 500 rural schools, educating 200,000 kids who'd otherwise drop out. But the stakes are high. If Ruto hands control to foreign firms, Western or Eastern, Kenya risks another SGR-style debt trap, where profits flow out while locals pay inflated rates. The youth on X are vocal. Ruto, keep the plant Kenyan, no more debt slavery. This is Kenya's moment to shine, but only if its leaders choose the people over power games. Now to Tanzania, where President Samia Suluhu Hassan, the quiet giant of East African leadership, is rewriting history with the precision of a master strategist and the heart of a mother. On July 30, 2025, she presided over the launch of a $1.2 billion uranium partnership with Rosatom at the Mkuju River project in Namtumbo, southern Tanzania. The $400 million pilot plant, using eco-friendly in-situ leaching with closed-loop water systems to protect biodiversity in local rivers, taps into Tanzania's 139 million tons of uranium reserves, aiming to extract 300,000 tons over 20 years. Samia's words at the launch were clear as crystal. This project reflects Tanzania's commitment to responsibly tap our natural resources for sustainable development. Rosatom's Director General, Alexei Likachev, echoed her, promising cooperation based on equality, mutual understanding, and high environmental and social standards. This is an extraction for export to enrich Paris, London, or Beijing, its homegrown glory, positioning Tanzania to potentially rank among the top 10 global uranium producers. The benefits are staggering, family, and they touch every corner of Tanzanian life. Thousands of jobs will flood Ruvuma, one of Tanzania's poorest regions, lifting 50,000 families out of poverty with wages averaging $300 monthly, triple the regional norm. The project diversifies exports beyond gold, which accounts for 40% of Tanzania's $7 billion mineral trade. By 2040, this could power Tanzania's grid emissions-free, lighting up Dar es Salaam's ports, Dodoma's government offices, Zanzibar's tourism hubs, and Arusha's factories. Surplus energy could flow to Zambia, Mozambique, Malawi, even Kenya, strengthening East African unity under the EAC. The economic impact: a projected 5 to 7% GDP spike, adding $4 billion yearly to Tanzania's $80 billion economy. Women-led cooperatives will mine sustainably, training 1,000 women in modern techniques. Young engineers, 5,000 over a decade, will master nuclear tech, positioning Tanzania as a regional hub for atomic innovation. The Mkuju plant's 22-year lifespan is just the beginning, opening doors to $2 billion in foreign investment without the colonial strings that have strangled us for centuries. Tanzania is keeping 60% of the value chain at home, building refineries, training scientists, and setting a model for Africa. On X, the excitement's palpable. Samia's uranium deal. Tanzania's rewriting the game. But Samia's not stopping there. She's leveraged Tanzania's 2017 mining reforms, which mandate 30% local ownership, to ensure Mkuju's profits stay home. She's pushed for tech transfers, with 200 Tanzanian students already in Moscow studying uranium processing. She secured $500 million in side deals for solar and wind to complement the nuclear push, aiming for 70% renewable energy by 2035. This is leadership that looks forward, not backward, building a Tanzania that's self-sufficient, not servile. This nuclear triad, Burkina's defiance, Kenya's ambition, Tanzania's prudence, is shattering ceilings the West thought were ironclad. They believed we'd stay down, content with their $50 billion aid crumbs, while they looted $1 trillion yearly in resources. Traore's proving them wrong overnight, with Kenya and Tanzania marching in step. On X, the continent's youth are ablaze. Burkina's nuclear plant, Africa's unstoppable, Kenya's 26% grid boost, power to the people, Tanzania's uranium play, Samia's masterstroke. The West's panic is visceral. Sanctions are being drafted. Media outlets are smearing Traore as a Russian stooge, and whispers of revived proxy wars are swirling in Langley and Brussels. They're terrified because a nuclear Africa changes everything. Its leverage, its sovereignty. It's why Iran laughs off embargoes, why Pakistan's allies are untouchable, why North Korea's missiles keep Pentagon generals awake. Nuclear capability, whether for peaceful energy or defense, gives you a voice, a veto, a seat at the global table. Pelindaba stripped us bare, ensuring we'd never have defensive or energy capabilities. ECOWAS and the African Union enforced it, acting as puppets for Paris, London and DC, ensuring Africa remained a resource supermarket for the West. The AU, founded in 2002 to unite our 1.4 billion souls, has failed us miserably. Silent on Gabon's 2023 coup, complicit in Sudan's chaos, it's a talking shop where Western envoys pull strings. It enforces Pelendaba's bans while Europe hoards 80% of the world's 400 reactors. Imagine an AU that works for us. Sharing Congo's cobalt, Nigeria's oil, South Africa's ports, Algeria's gas, Zimbabwe's lithium, we'd be a $3 trillion GDP bloc, vetoing UN resolutions, trading in Afri, not euros or dollars. Instead, we're fractured, our leaders cheering French bases while villages go dark, our economies bleeding $100 billion yearly to power outages and $50 billion to debt repayments. The AU's budget, a measly $650 million, half funded by the EU and US, ensuring it dances to their tune. This nuclear dawn is our beginning. Burkina's plant will light 10 million homes, Kenya's will power 20 million, Tanzania's uranium will fuel a $10 billion industry. Together, they'll create 200,000 jobs, cut energy costs by 50%, and add $15 billion to our GDP by 2040. But it's more than megawatts. It's about respect, dignity, sovereignty. The West's panicking because they know. An Africa that controls the atom controls its destiny. They'll try to stop us. Sanctions, coups, propaganda. But we're done trembling. Rise, Africa. Our time is now. Who's with me?